The night my home security system rang me with an alert, I was sprawled on my brother Marcus's couch, slice of pizza in hand, the NBA playoffs playing on the TV. My name is Nathan Carter, 38 years old, software architect, and my tidy, single-story house at 47 Crestwood Lane in Crestwood Heights was my sanctuary at the end of long coding days working for a biotech firm. That Tuesday afternoon in April, I had left the house in the capable hands of my plumber, Greg, who was shutting down the water for 2 days to fix rusted pipes beneath the foundation. No problema. I would be crashing at Marcus's downtown loft until the repairs were completed. I had set the motion sensors, secured the doors, and zoomed off in my Tesla, thinking every tying was hunky-dory. Then at 9:30 p.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected at my front door. I opened the app and stood there, standing on my porch, wrapped in a towel and dripping wet to the scalp, was my neighbor Linda Matthews, banging on the door as if auditioning for a horror film. "Nathan, open this door. I know you're home. What did you do to the water? Turn it back on." Her voice broke over the speaker, high-pitched and insistent. Marcus leaned over my shoulder. "That your HOA lady in a towel?" I grabbed my keys. "Something's wrong. I need to get over there before she breaks down the door." Marcus was already lacing up his sneakers. No chance I'm missing this. Linda had come in about 6 months after I bought the property 3 years ago. Early 60s, peroxide blonde hair and a hard updo, and claws sharp enough to have her elected to the Crestwood Heights HOA board in record time. She annoyed me from the get-go, always prepared with a backhanded compliment or crepuscular, "How can a person like you afford this place?" smile. When I informed her that I was working in software, she looked at me as if I'd told her I moonlight as a magician. To avoid HOA drama, I cut my lawn, kept trash cans out of sight, and all regulations followed to the letter. Didn't help. Linda had something to complain about, a legally parked visitor, a tree she claimed looked ill. I was polite, but aloof. Marcus would say, "You pay fees to get hassled in your own home." I used to defend the HOA, assuring everyone that it kept the neighborhood in shape. But flying by my home with Linda's screams still ringing in my ear, I recognized that this wasn't your everyday neighborly disagreement. We were there in the driveway 15 minutes later. Linda remained, fists battering against my door like she was trying to break down the door. "I'm on the HOA board. This is harassment," she shouted. Her towel was barely clinging by a thread. Being a black man in an affluent suburb, I'd learned the wisdom of keeping my cool in these situations. It wasn't just smart, it was necessary. "Linda," I called out quietly as we approached. "What's going on?" She turned, clutching her towel around her, soap still clinging to her hairline. "You," she barked, pointing like I'd committed a felony. "You turned off the water. Turn it back on." I kept my tone cool. "I shut off my own water for plumbing work. It's scheduled." "You can't do that without HOA approval," she snapped. "I was in the shower when it stopped." I squinted. "Why would shutting off my water affect your shower?" Her eyes flickered. First panic, then rage. "The whole street's out," she yelled. "That's weird," I said to her. "The utility company only shut off water to my place, not anyone else's." She spun away, lips quivering as she tried to pull out her phone. "Who you calling, Linda?" "The police." "Wait, because you're harassing me, shutting off my water. This is discrimination." Marcus let out a small, incredulous laugh. "Lady, you're standing on his porch in your underwear hollering, and you're calling the cops?" I held my phone up and started recording. "Linda, you're saying your water also went out around the same time as mine? That would only make sense if your house is connected to my water line." Her face twisted into scowling lines. "That's ridiculous. The HOA would—" But she was unraveling. Then into her phone. "Yes, 911. I need officers at 47 Crestwood Lane. My neighbor is threatening me and cut off my utilities." "I'm recording this," I said to her, "so they'll know who's really on whose land." "You can't record me. That's illegal." "You're on my land lying," I shot back. Sirens were already wailing in the distance. Linda got up, smug. "We'll see what the police say." I waited, queued up security footage. There she was, trying to slip into my backyard, foiled by the locked gate, clearly headed for the water valve. Two patrol cars arrived. Officers Daniels and Lopez stepped out and surveyed the scene. Me and Marcus calm, Linda wild-eyed and towel-clad. "What's going on here?" Lopez asked. Linda exploded. "He cut off my water to harass me. I'm on the HOA board. He's targeting me." Daniels confronted me. "Ixing. It's an historic arrangement," he replied nervously. The former owner complied, and we just left it alone. Without consulting me, charging me thousands and breaking city code? Was this offer made to another person? Or just Linda? His silence was deafening. "Here's $3,800 in overcharges," I said to him, shoving papers across the counter. "I want to be reimbursed, that cut line eliminated, and an HOA admission of wrongdoing. Or I take it to the city, file a complaint of utility fraud, and call my attorney." "You're exaggerating." "Am I?" I said to him, stare locked on his. "Or is there some reason I was supposed to pay and not ask questions?" He stalked off, saying nothing. By Thursday, the work was completed and the illegal line was severed. The T-junction was installed 5 years ago, prior to my time. Later that afternoon, I got a call from Detective Harris. "We have a warrant to search Linda's property on your information. You can be there in an hour?" I agreed. Marcus went with me. Neighbors lingered as officers and a utility inspector hammered. No answer. Procedure took over. They busted the door down. In the bathroom, Linda had barricaded herself, piling up pots, buckets, even a full tub of water. "This is HOA business," she screamed, waving her phone and threatening to call City Hall. They coaxed her out, holding on to her phone, fuming about persecution. The inspector confirmed the illegal hookup in her basement, professional but unauthorized. Linda was handcuffed in her robe, spewing venom as she glared at me. "This is your fault. You people always demand special treatment. This was my neighborhood first." "That's enough," Harris said, interrupting her. As the cruiser pulled away, neighbors took videos. I stood frozen, everyone staring at me. Harris later requested a statement. Linda was charged with theft of utilities, false police report, and maybe more once HOA funds were audited. "How long was she stealing?" asked Susan across the street. "Because before I lived here, HOA made it possible." Walter's wife Ellen showed up, angry. "Walter never told me. Sorry." I wasn't sure how bad the rot went. The utility company issued a refund over the weekend, $4,750, and started investigating other similar installations around Crestwood. Then Maria Lopez of the HOA Design Committee showed up. A handful of receipts and internal documents. Bogus water infrastructure fees. Board members' waivers from fees. Extra fees for new, many minority homeowners. "I was quiet for too long," she said. Following an HOA meeting during which Walter tried to shut me up with an NDA, I handed it all over to my lawyer. We sued. Neighbors came forward with stories of discriminatory enforcement, fabricated fines. By Wednesday, a Channel 5 reporter caught up with me after a jog. "Did you discover HOA discrimination?" "I discovered an illegal water tap, one I was fined for." "That's part of a pattern," I replied. "Was it racial?" "I was to pay without question. Why?" "Ask the HOA." Walter resigned that day. 2 other board members resigned. At a Saturday meeting with over 100 residents, interim chair David Park welcomed city and utility reps. They disclosed abuse of funds, discriminatory enforcement of rules, and excessive fees for minorities and young families. I spoke a few words. "I came here for fairness. I obey the rules. I expect the same from all." The audience applauded. Linda's house went on the market. She moved to Florida to face trial. Her plea deal included restitution and 500 hours of community service. There was a new HOA board, David, president, Maria, treasurer, and me, outreach coordinator. Fair, diverse, transparent. The citywide audit found the same scams in suburbs across the region. Change was coming. At a barbecue several weeks later, kids giggled, hamburgers crackled, and property values skyrocketed. David came back from inspecting Linda's house. Illegal remodeling, poor wiring, subletting without a license. Carl, Susan's husband, chuckled. "All that sermonizing, and she was breaking every rule herself. I got a text message from Harris. Linda's appeal to reduce her service hours was denied. 500 hours. I stashed the phone. Watched my new neighbors, a young couple, move into Linda's former house. Maria invited me to a guest, Aisha Thompson, who sought to buy nearby. I heard this hood turned a corner. I smiled. It did. We faced the truth. Together. While Marcus cooked burgers, he raised a spatula and toast. To clear waters. Linda tried to drain my water and my ego, but what she actually did was let loose a flood that swept away the fibs and awakened this community. Crestwood Heights wasn't my home anymore. It was home ours.